there, I'm your host, Leslie Randolph. I'm a self-confidence coach for teenage girls and the self-confidence coach you wish you had as a teen. Honestly, I'm the self-confidence coach I wish I had as a teen because I know I could have saved myself and my mother a whole lot of heartache if I'd only known then what I know now. I hope to save you some of that suffering by sharing the lessons I learned late in life right here on Why Didn't They Tell Us? Welcome to the show. Hey, happy people. Welcome back to Why Didn't They Tell Us? I am so excited for today's show and the amazing guest that I get to share with you. Y'all, this one is personal because I both admire and just adore today's guest. You may remember in one of my first episodes, I shared that one of my childhood dreams was to be an actress. And it wasn't just a childhood dream. It was one that I carried with me well into my young adult years. I'm not going to lie. As I'm actually saying this to you, I have the goosebumps remembering it. Yet it was never a possibility for me. And I want to be very clear. It wasn't that I didn't make it as an actress. It was that I never even tried. I was so afraid of rejection and failure, and frankly, the work that goes into making a dream a reality, that I failed and rejected myself before I even went on an audition. I never did. Today's guest, Jessie Fisher, was a braver woman than me. She was willing to do the work, but most importantly, she was willing to feel all the feels that come when you go after your goals, when you chase your dreams or pursue the life of your dreams. I've known Jessie for nearly 30 years from our early days at Harand Theater Camp. And today, Jessie is an award-winning actress, composer, and educator. On Broadway, Jessie has starred in the Tony Award-winning musical Once, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, and can be currently seen in the Neil Diamond musical, A Beautiful Noise. She created and leads programming implemented by the U.S. Army to strengthen emotional intelligence for mental health and community responsibility. An award-winning composer and musician, she's written music for theaters in Chicago, Philadelphia, and New York. She's also the co-creator of the joy-focused variety show, Eric and Jessie and Everyone You Know. And if that is not enough, Jessie became a certified doula during the pandemic and has assisted many families in their birth stories. Jessie, my friend, welcome to the show.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me.
No, thank
30
you.
30 years?
I did the
30
math.
30 years?
I know. I did the math. It might be wrong, but I'm going with it.
I think you're right.
I'm going with it. And I knew when I think I said this to you when I messaged you, I knew when I launched this show, you would be a guest.
Oh,
because I adore you. I admire you. I'm just like so in awe of what you've created with your life. And I tip my hat.
oh my goodness. Thank you so much. But well, listen, that means so much to me. But also I think I'm in awe of anyone I've known for so long and known since we were teenagers in such a formative, hard part of life. I'm in awe of all the beautiful friends that I have, regardless of what their trajectory is, of how they've gotten to where they are today. Because watching someone from that age to now is such a spectacular gift. So I'm really excited and I'm really honored that you've said all that, but also just really excited to see you and catch up with you.
Oh, I'm tickled. Oh, there's the goosebumps again. Before we came on the air, guys, I told Jessie I'm probably going to cry during this episode. I will keep my stuff together, but I like the wells.
Yes.
We will behave. I'm lying. We won't. Jessie, I know I just gave you this big bio, but why don't you tell, in your own words, what you do and why you do it and how you got here?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You'll have to help keep me on track if I deviate. But I get very nervous when I'm asked this question, only because I really try to evaluate where I am in this part of my life what my story means to me today, so I'm careful to not just retell a story that I've been saying for the past 20 years about myself. I really try to investigate, like, who am I now and how did I get here? But generally speaking, I'm an actress, I'm an improviser, I'm a teacher, I'm a musician, I'm a composer. And usually I think artists get slapped with this multi-hyphenate label out of desperation, that you're told you do all these things because you have to do all these things, right? That's the artist's life. And I do not identify with that. Everything that I do is a choice and has been cultivated, and all centers around this kind of core of who I believe I am, which is someone who's on a journey to give myself and give others permission to feel how they feel, be who they are, explore that through behavior, through circumstance, through relationship. And so much of it is just about this permission to be a human being in all its beautiful, messy, lovely, ugly, gorgeous forms. And that's kind of part of every single thing I do. And we'll get into it, but I think pursuing acting, the pursuit of it, led me to all these tributaries that kind of feed that greater river. But it's all based in my fascination and like love and curiosity of being a human being, being alive. So I think, how did I start doing that? I was a super emotional child who always felt a lot of shame, I think, for being such a feeler. I was a very easy crier. I felt things very big. I was affected by movies and music and humanity in a very big way. And although I had beautiful, hippie, artistic parents, I think I wasn't sure it was acceptable to be that way. Theater became this outlet for me where I felt like you have permission to live as fully as possible in different circumstances without apology. And it felt so familiar and safe to me. It felt like a very safe place. And I know a lot of artists who, I remember growing up and in theater classes on day one, when people would say, why do you like acting? A lot of people would talk about disappearing. I like to pretend I'm someone else. I like to disappear. That's not for me. For me, it was, I get to be the most me I am in these different circumstances, and I don't have to apologize for it. So that's kind of the core of what started me on this journey. And then it's led to a million other different areas of life. But I think, like, when I talk about the tie that binds everything I do, it's kind of narrowed down to a lot of different walks of life that are about seeing what's in front of me, not what I wish was in front of me. Having opinions, but listening so hard and being willing to change. Letting people surprise me, and articulating what it is I'm truly feeling and what I think someone across from me might be feeling, so that you can either accept it, learn from it, or speak it and release it. So that's a lot, but that's kind of, I think, when I think today of my essence, that's my journey.
I just decided that I don't even want to talk on this show anymore. I was like, okay, Jessie's going to go. Because Jessie, what you just, like, that's everything I do as a life coach. That's everything I do. Yes. Your vehicle, though, is theater and expression, because it is expression. And I think back, obviously, I think back to my theater days often. And I think, getting ready for today's show, I was transported right back there. And I never regret my theater, because it is just that. It is a masterclass in the human condition.
Oh, yes.
And what motivates us and what inspires us. And you just speak to that so beautifully.
Yeah. And you're right. And I think what excites me about it is that it's both universal, but also highly specific. when I talk about birth work, it's the same language. It's universal and highly specific to you. But I think the more we witness and have that awareness of what's outside of us, the more you get to be kinder to yourself and kinder to humanity as a whole, that we behave and respond to what is in front of us and in such a multitude of ways. And that's it's exciting and beautiful, and it can be hard, but that is the human condition. Yeah.
100%. I love the way you just said that, because it opens up to so much compassion. When you're in, a scene with another actor, you always have to put yourself in their shoes of, well, first of all, you put yourself in your character's shoes of what's their motivation? What do they want? What's driving them? But also the person that you are playing opposite of how are they going to respond? And how beautiful the world would be if we had that compassion for our fellow humans and for ourselves.
Oh, yes. Yes. And I'm sure we'll get into this, but here we are now. So I'll just speak to it. Anytime that I start to feel, whether it's on life or on stage or an audition or whatever it is, whenever I start to go too internal, whenever I start to get clouded and I can't see what's in front of me, the greatest thing I do to anchor myself in the present is look across at whoever is in front of me. And whether I'm right or wrong, speak to what I think that in my brain, what their behavior is, what's happening to them, what is going on with them right now, because they are with me. We're here together. So it's not just about me. It's not just about what's happening inside. I'll get lost if I get too focused on that. We are always in relation. We're always in. I have this I talk about it all the time, Leslie. One of my favorite kind of scientific theories, when you really distill it into easy digestible terms, is basically we're a series of happenings, not things. And we are just one interaction to the next interaction. And a thing is only a thing when it's interacting with another thing. So if I get so focused on just me alone, I'm missing out on what it is to be a person, and it's not reality. So so much of what I do is what's going on with her right now? What's going on with him? What are they feeling? What do I think that's different. That's not what I expected. And then that shifts my story and my experience.
Yeah. And that speaks to what you said at the beginning of I let people surprise me, because we have stories in our head of why people are doing what they do. And it often is just that. It's in our head. It's not true. Yeah. And it gives us the opportunity to have authentic human connection when we're willing to tap into that curiosity and that willingness to be wrong about people.
Yeah, absolutely. Not to go too far off topic, but I have so many crystal clear memories in my head of you on stage. I just see you so clearly, and it's so beautiful to see you now, because you're the same human and you're a different human. And I just love that so much. I see you in Once Upon a Mattress.
You guys, this is where I start crying.
But listen, that kind of, I love examining, what's this thing I was interested in and taken by? And you had that curiosity in you too, and not pursuing it through theater means nothing. It means nothing. It's not what you did. It's the thing that drives you and that's you're passionate about, that informs what you do. So you are still doing what you cared about. It's just in a different package.
1000%. Well, thank you for saying that. And I think that's such an important message for everyone to hear, because the journey on this one and only life of ours might not take the path that you thought it would take, but we all get to where we're meant to be if you just keep going, bring that compassion and that curiosity and that willingness to be wrong. So I'm tickled hearing that. And that actually is the most gorgeous segue into one of my questions that I had for you, because if I remember correctly, I remember the beginning of seeing you on stage. I'm gonna spill a secret. Y'all, I used to have Jessie sing to me at night before bed because she had the most beautiful voice. And that was how I would go to bed every night, of having her sing The Secret Garden or A Little Fall of Rain from Les Mis literally every night. But I missed your middle chapters, Jessie, because if I remember correctly, you did shift away. You were an actor when I first met you, and here you are today. But what informed the decision to step away from theater, and what brought you back?
Yeah. So I think I'm a big believer, and I have been lucky enough to, whether I could articulate this when I was a younger human or not, I now have the words for it. But I've always been able to invest in what feeds me and step away from obsessing over what doesn't. I think it's really easy to be like, I love this thing, I want this thing. And if it's not giving me something back, I think it can be easy to be like, well, why isn't it? Or what's wrong with me? And okay, I just need to push harder and harder. And I think you don't learn that way. You stop understanding why you love something in the first place. So I really follow a lot of asking myself questions of what is feeding me? Why am I in pursuit, period? And that can help me then be in control of things that are out of my control. So for example, I started acting. I've been passionate about this since before I can remember. I was lucky enough to have it as a resource that fed me as well, where I think it was telling me, you belong here. This is a place that you're, I felt very accepted into that world. When I started auditioning for conservatories, which is what everyone told me you're supposed to do as an actress, if you want to be an actress, go to a conservatory program. You got to go to NYU, you got to go to Yale, you got to go to DePaul, Juilliard, whatever these high profile schools are. I didn't get into any of them. I didn't get into any of the programs. And I'm sure I'm remembering it incorrectly, but I don't think I dwelled very long because I knew in my heart that I loved it, but that maybe getting there was going to be a different path. And I actually had excitement of being like, well, as long as I love what I love, I'm going to find the ways to keep loving it. So I went to University of Colorado instead, which didn't mind my not perfect grade point average and didn't mind that I didn't test incredibly. I tested fine, but that wasn't ever my focus. Maybe I ditched a little too many days of high school. Yeah. I don't know, Leslie. Those records are not available to review. But so the beautiful part of that is it kind of helped deviate me for a second. I was like, I'm going to study science. I'm going to be a chemistry major instead. And it was kind of a rejection of what had rejected me.
Sure.
It was in defiance of what I think everyone else's expectations were for me. But it was also giving myself permission of saying, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, I've liked this thing since I was a kid, but let's keep asking ourselves questions about what else is for us in this world. Because if I am so stuck on what I've told myself I am and what my identifiers are from age, 7 on, what am I missing out on seeing? What am I closing out? So I was pursuing science, but I was like, but I'll see about the acting program here. And then I ended up just studying theater because I was like, no, it is what I want. So that was like one deviation. Then when I came back to Chicago, I think I kind of hoped the theater doors would be wide open for me. My goal was always, I really wanted to act at Steppenwolf Theater in Chicago, which is like a prestigious institution of ensemble actors who really act like with their whole hearts. And listen, I tried to get my foot in that door and it wasn't happening for me. And so I said, okay, well, what am I hungry for? I'm hungry for community and I'm hungry for a safe place to fail. So I started doing improv and started taking classes and being like, this is a safe place to test out failure. This is a safe place where I can give myself that permission. That then led to, all these things. That's why I kind of use it as a tributary. It took me away and then it all kind of flows back. And when it flows back, I'm stronger, smarter, more interesting, more joyful, more capable. I've evolved in some way, and then I am taking more and bringing more to when I come back to theater. Does that answer your question?
Who cares? Who cares? I want to highlight a couple of things that you just said that I for my teenage listeners, for moms of teens, I just think these are such critical messages. And I love that you acknowledge that, like, maybe this is not the story I would have told when I was in it, but wow, from the other side of it, I can see these things. The what feeds me. I see that with, like, again, going back to relationship, because as teens, we can be like, why doesn't she like, I'm dealing with this right now with my daughter. Why doesn't she like me? Why doesn't she like me? Why isn't this working? And we don't take the time to ask ourselves, what feeds me? What do I need? Do I like her? Because certainly you don't like her, how she's treating you. Let's acknowledge that.
Yes.
Such a good one. The supposed tos. I think that speaks to that linear path of how it's supposed to look, what we should be doing. And when we're willing to acknowledge that maybe this is not my supposed to, maybe it's someone else's.
Yes.
The identifiers, like the labels that we gave ourselves, like, I'm going to be a Steppenwolf actress, and your willingness to maybe take the Steppenwolf out of it for a moment, or to even change the label completely when we're willing to let go of those labels.
Yes. And to stay curious about, instead of that, what that's out of my control, because so much is, like, just keep asking myself in a very kind fashion, not in an abusive way, asking myself, like, well, why? Okay, so what do I like about Steppenwolf? What do I like about them? Okay, so I like that they seem to be playful, but super honest. Okay, so how can I develop that in me regardless of them? Like, obviously there's something I'm attracted to. It's not the thing, it's the pieces of what make me tick. So how do I keep going? But why? But why? But why? And I love what you said about relationship, because I think about this as a human and as an actor, that, like, I spend a lot of time putting myself in the vulnerable position of auditioning, which is saying, like, here's my artistic opinion. Here are my thoughts. Like, do you like it? And my brain is shifted in beautiful ways, which is, listen, I still have ego, so I still want to be chosen. Like, of course, I want to know I'm not free of caring fully about what other people think of me.
You're still a human.
But I'm still a human. But I am conscious of, like, well, what matters to me about what they see? And then I'm auditioning them too. So, like, if I go into an audition, I'm like, well, did I like that director? Did I like them? Did I like that casting director? Did I like the people in the room? Because either I didn't. So, gosh, if I get this part, I'm going to have to navigate that. And if I don't, like, cool, we're not for each other. Or if I did like them and I don't get the opportunity, I get to be like, oh, great. Well, I got to, like, meet them. And how do I pursue this relationship? But it's absolutely applicable to how I think about life too. That I do the same thing, Leslie, which is, like, I think I spent so much time being like, it's about me, it's about me, it's about me. So if someone's mean to me, if someone seems like I've pissed them off, I immediately am like, what about me? What did I do? What's wrong with me? Instead of being like, I wonder what's going on with them. I want, like, whether it's your child, whether it's another person that's your equal, what's going on with them? What is happening to them that they are behaving that way, instead of what did I do to have them treat me this way?
1000%. And rejection is, and there will be roles that even Jessie, who I'm telling you is as amazing on stage as she is right here, will not get. But I love that you just said, like, I get to decide what I make that mean. In my coaching practice, that is 100% like at the source of everything. There are these neutral circumstances of the world. There are, the words the director says to you. There are the words that the friend says to my daughter on the playground. We all get to decide what we make those mean about ourselves and what that makes us mean about our talent, about our existence, all of the above. Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, that's so true. And I think it's hard. It's a hard thing to really make sense, especially when you're a young person and everything is new to you. Everything's new. So like, why would you be good at it? Is a big thing that you have. One of your questions is like, what things I would tell my younger self? And that's definitely one of them. It's like, this is new. Why would you be good at it? But the practice, and eventually it will become easier. But like being able to feel what you're feeling, know that it's okay to feel that way. I'm feeling this way in response to the kid who was mean to me on the playground. And then once I allow myself permission to feel it, can I also be like, well, that's on them. What is going on with them that they feel like they needed to treat a person that way? Like,
1000%. And it's all choices. It's all choices. And neither one is good nor bad, nor are the feelings good nor bad. It's all just part of our humanness and our experience on this journey of life.
Yes. And I often talk about like how a thing I really try to cultivate is that I'm the only barometer of my success and failure. I'm the only one. And that doesn't mean just looking for the good in what I do, but it means being even kind to myself about like, when I'm asking myself, was that about me? It is sometimes about taking accountability too and being like, yeah, I was a bitch. Sorry, do we not swear on your podcast?
We're doing great.
But like, yeah, I'm in a bad mood today because of this, and this, and I responded poorly. And I might have been the catalyst in this situation. Oh, all right. Well, there's my accountability. And if that's a failure, why is it a failure to me, not anyone else? And then success, same. Success for me is the same thing. Like, it's very cool that I get to like on paper, the things I've done are kind of objectively successful. I'm in my third Broadway show, like as a theater actor, that's pretty good. But I don't let someone else's idea of what that success interfere with why it means something to me. Why is that meaningful to me? And it's good to like let it wash over you when you have great achievements and let other people being impressed by you make you feel good. And then I gently ask myself, okay, so why does it feel good just for me in the secret world of like my brain? Like, why is that meaningful to me? Yeah.
Oh, so good. It's so good. I love all of it. And I mean, I celebrate with you, but I love that you celebrate yourself and the most important words that I hear you saying. And it's such a critical part of cultivating self-confidence, which is what I aim with all my clients. Yeah. Kindness and compassion for yourself.
Oh my gosh.
Even in those moments of when your humanness is not what you want it to be, just such kindness and compassion, because you can't beat yourself up to doing something differently. It might work in the moment, but it just feels terrible in the long run.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So let's talk about some of those feels that come along with being an actress, and that is rejection and failure. I mean, you've spoken to it a little bit. Like, how do you handle that? Because I want all of us to be going out there, living our dreams and going after goals, but that's part of it. So how do you handle it? And does it get any easier?
Yeah. Well, first, I think it does get easier, but that doesn't mean it's not hard. I think it gets easier because, like anything, when you've have enough experiences, they become familiar. You get comfortable with being uncomfortable, which is a great place to grow in. But it's still hard. And I think how I cope with it is by accepting that. I think when you deny what you're truly feeling, it just doesn't give you space to process it and move through it and past it. So if I'm so determined to say to myself, well, I didn't really care about it, and it doesn't mean anything about me, and I'm fine, then I'm like just burying the truth, and it will find a place to come out of me in a different way. So I think one of the beautiful ways that I talk about it is just about, why wouldn't it be painful to open myself up to the vulnerability of caring about something and not being able to follow through on it, why wouldn't that be painful? I equate it to falling in love a lot of the time. Like, in order to participate in this job, I have to find something that I love about every role that I audition for, every play that I audition for. And sometimes it's easier than others, but my whole goal is that I have to feel the justification of involving myself in telling some human story, that I have to fall in love. So therefore, I know I am subjecting myself to the vulnerability of possibly not having that love reciprocated. So much of it is is kind of loving. Gosh, is there a better way to say that? I just love the act of falling in love, and I love the act of exploring, like, why does something hurt me when it hurts me? But truly, it's just about the acceptance that, like, I grieve for a day fully. I let myself feel sad, and then I remind myself that there's a big wide world out there, and there's opportunities I couldn't have ever dreamed of that are ahead of me. And I'll meet them when I meet them.
I just love all that so much. I'm sitting here nodding my head, because if Jessie had decided that failure and rejection from the conservatory was the end, that was a failure and forget it, like, you wouldn't be here today. And to the original question that I had asked, even, of like, we just need to allow those feelings. It's when we avoid them and resist them, and it's fine. Fine. Ugh. I was originally going to name this podcast "Stop Feeling Fine," but no, to acknowledge the pain, to feel the hurt.
Yeah, there's one of the training programs I did. Just to finish a thought, like, I'd wanted to work at this theater at Steppenwolf. And when I was in my early 20s, it seemed like that wasn't going to happen. And then I went and deviated outside and did all these other things that brought me great joy and taught me so much. And then I came back and I've done 2 incredible shows at that theater that like were my dream opportunities. But one of the things, I'd done a training program, an intensive at that theater, and I learned this method that's taught in a lot of different ways, sometimes better than others. That's Meisner based, which is really about behavior, seeing it, speaking to what you see, and speaking to what you're actually feeling. And the greatest piece of it was learning to articulate, like, fine is not an option. Fine's not an option. And we can be 3 things at the same time. But it was such an amazing exercise. And sometimes I'm still out of shape with this muscle, is being able to specify and articulate the thing you're feeling. And you'll know it, because as soon as you name it, you're like, it'll hit you in the gut. And then you'll be able to be in conversation with it in a more generous place. So anytime that you want to shake it off and be fine and not address it, it's still living there and it's not going to go anywhere. But if you get acquainted with it and learn its name, then you'll be able to deal with it and be in relation to it.
Like 1000%. And this is one of the things that I do in my coaching practice. The part of this whole experience of life is to feel our feelings and to acknowledge our feelings. Yeah. So I encourage my clients, we're going to put a name to it. Where is it in your body? What does it feel like?
Yes.
Because,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. And to you, of like, because once you can just understand that it's just this feeling in your body, and, maybe it's a tightness in your stomach or a tightness in your chest. It's like, oh, that is what that emotion is. It cannot hurt me. Yeah. It cannot kill me. I can just feel it. I can allow it. And from that space, like, the danger of it, the danger of failing, the danger of rejection, of doubt and fear, all of these dangerous emotions that we think are so scary, they're not. They're just there.
Yes. And all of it's temporary. Everything. And temporary might have a different meaning of longevity. But I so often, once I name a thing, whether it's good or bad, I go, like, the voice in my brain just goes, well, I guess we'll be this until we're not.
I love that so much.
Be this until we're not. And what's going to change it? something outside of me. Like, what's going to change? It's probably not going to be me muscling something. It's going to be my awareness and openness to something outside of me changing me.
So good. So good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we look at the feels that come with, this life that you have chosen, this beautiful life. But I also think that, first of all, I think to get where you are required so much self-confidence. And I often talk about self-confidence as like knowing who you are. So again, those questions, why, what feeds me, and nourishing what feeds you. So knowing who you are and loving and believing in that human just as she is. That's how I define self-confidence in my work. So how do you cultivate self-confidence, both on the stage for, an audition for a performance, but just in life in general?
Yeah. Yeah. It's that I just really give myself a lot of permission and curiosity. Permission and curiosity are the main things. So like, I think like an overwhelming thing is the confidence that like, my opinion is mine and how I feel about it can change, or it might, or I'll defend it fully and it's just mine, that's it. And that the way I see the world can be a gift to other people if they want it to be. But it's certainly like, I'm confident because I just keep seeking out the things that, more things to learn. So like whenever I'm not feeling confident, I just try to learn something new. Like I try to have some new perspective. And I look towards the relationships that I trust in my life, and I leave the ones that don't matter to me. Actually, my therapist said to me recently, therapy is helpful with confidence. Like, like having a safe place to be all the things that you are, and look at it and filter it through a trusted source, which is sort of what I was about to say anyway. Like, we can't filter it through every source. We can't filter who we are through everybody, but like finding those people that we truly love, respect, honor, and letting them untie knots with us, letting, those be the reflections of who we are as well. That helps with my confidence. What did I write down in my little thing? Yeah, I just ask myself so many questions about why I'm feeling the things I'm feeling. And again, just gently, I'm just like yesterday, I was in a really bad mood. And I know that when I'm in a bad mood, there's probably something I'm avoiding investigating. So I was like, I'm judging everyone around me. And when I start judging everyone and I'm being kind of meanly opinionated about the humans in my life, I'm like, oh, really, probably I should turn that mirror back at myself. So why don't I deal with whatever's causing me this lack of confidence? But I just keep asking myself why. And a big piece of confidence for me is not judging myself based on goals that I made. We've sort of spoken to this, but like, if I only hold myself accountable to goals I made for myself 5 years ago, I'm not taking into account the person that has learned all the lessons from that point. So I think confidence for me is like loving who I am when I am what I am. And also being able to recognize that it is going to ebb and flow and change. So having a bit of a sense of humor too, of being like, oh God, that person that liked that quality in themselves 10 years ago, I don't like it now, but like, cool. It's just kind of it's always in motion.
I'm going to steal so much of that moving forward. It's so good. So as we've spent some time looking at the past and, here we are today, can you summarize for me, this show is the lessons learned late in life. What is a lesson that you had learned late in life that you wish you had known better sooner?
I wish I had learned sooner that it's not about me. This thing we've talked about, I wish I'd had the capability to be like, whoa, 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 before I internalize all of this, can I have the understanding and compassion that everyone is having different experiences? I wish I had known when I was younger that I can be all things and still be lovable. I think that's a huge part. I think I'd set up so much around that, like, no, this is what a cool person is. This is what like a strong, independent, cool, like, person that is deserving of love looks like, instead of being like, no, I can be messy and still be loved. I can be mean and still be loved if I'm taking responsibility. I can feel a million things and I will still be lovable because human beings are a million things. On a on a on a superficial level, I think I was a young person who was lucky enough to be incredibly confident about my interior, but so I had zero self-confidence about my exterior. And I think it's a very hard thing to convince yourself that you are lovable and beautiful when you don't see that in the mirror. I listened to a few of your past podcasts that you touch on all these things so beautifully. I had really bad skin, but I just thought I had this voice inside of me that was like, I just wish that I wish my outsides reflected my insides, because I like my fucking insides. I like my insides. And you know what? It all caught up that, like, I'm a 41-year-old human and I have more wrinkles and I don't weigh what I weighed when I was younger and cared about that. And every day I look in the mirror and I'm like, I look so much better than I did last year. I look so much better than I did 5 years ago, 10 years ago, because I'm like growing with myself of like my insides will match my outsides because it's how I'm going to keep viewing myself. Yeah, I think, and then I was this curious creature, and I think I wish I had more sources that said I had a lot of outside influences as an artist, adults who were actors just telling me how hard it was. It's hard. It's a really hard life. Get ready for a lot of rejection. Ready for a lot of pain. Are you ready for deal with that? You won't make a lot of money. You won't do this. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard. And I didn't have anyone cultivating joy in what excited me. So when I speak to young people about art, like, everything you pursue is hard. Everything you pursue and care about is going to have trials and rejection. How can you refocus on, like, keep being curious and joyful? Just stay curious and joyful. I wish someone had told me that.
I love that so much. And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, because the only thing harder than doing this work is what life will look like if you don't, because you miss out on all that joy. You miss out on what feeds you and loves you. And yes, being a human is hard, but it's also so amazing and so good.
Yeah. And I think that thing that we spoke about right at the beginning that I was thinking about, which is like, it's practice. It's practice. So, like, find the safe places to fail, but also know, like, it's practice. Why would you listen? I'm still practicing. I'm still just a human in practice. I fail all the time. But like I said, you just get a little more acquainted with it. But I wish I knew when I was younger, why would I be good at this thing? Why would I be good at relationships automatically? Why would I be good at all these things that I'm just testing out? That's what the test is for. That's what life is for. Like, practice, fail, practice, fail, practice, fail, succeed, succeed. It's just this cycle. But I think that a big piece is like, why would I just be automatically successful? Why? That doesn't make sense.
41, 40 here, all still humaning. You say that. I always say I'm forever a work in progress. Like, I'm still going, and I actually do this for a living. But so do you. I'm telling you, everything you speak to, I'm like, Jessie's just a coach from the stage. It's all the same.
Yeah, and we spoke. You were speaking about being nervous, and what does that mean? And for me, I'm nervous every day. I'm nervous every time I go on stage. But instead of letting the evil voice in my head tell me that being nervous is about being unprepared or not good, I'm like, yeah, I'm nervous because I'm about to do something I care about. I'm a steward of a thing that I care about. Why wouldn't I be nervous? Like, but that's excitement and pride and passion and joy and hoping that the gift that I want to give people is accepted well. Like, of course I think being a human being, being nervous can be an exciting piece of that. So it's a constant process with that too.
1000%.
Well, yeah, I have a question for you.
Give it to me.
What's your theater memory, your most joyful theater memory of being a young person?
Y'all, I am so busted right now because I'm going to be really honest about something. I have a podcast episode dedicated to it. So I guess this is my preview because Jessie, it was with you. Oh, maybe I won't do the podcast episode. Stick with us, friends. It was in The Tempest. You and I were in The Tempest together. And I don't know if you'll remember this, but it was truly one of the most formative moments on the stage for me and in life. And that's what the podcast episode will be about. We were in The Tempest and it was a live performance. Audience was there and the music didn't go on. Do you remember this?
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. I just got chills because it's like a fresh memory. Yes. Go on.
The music didn't go on.
Yeah.
And we all stood there frozen and we were like, what do we do? You guys, y'all, a live studio audience. And Jessie, this fearless leader on the stage, started humming the song that we had heard hundreds of times in rehearsals, but we were all paralyzed. We didn't know what to do. And we started humming it. And then the rest of us started humming it and we went into the dance. And then at that moment, like maybe 15, 30 seconds later, the music did come on. But it was that moment that you brought music when there was silence. It was this moment of, we'll figure it out. We can do this.
Yeah.
That is my memory.
I love that. I love that. Sometimes you have to make your own music. Yeah.
And just figure it out. Jessie, I have taken too much of your time. We're already at way over. And there were like 14 other things that I told Jessie we were going to talk about and we didn't. So I might have to.
I'm sorry, I talk too much.
No, this is the best. I loved every moment of this. And I know anyone listening will too. Jessie, where do you want to leave this beautiful conversation? Is there anything else you would say to your teenage self, to teenage listeners, to humans that love teens? I mean, you've said so much so beautifully, but I'll let you close out the show.
Oh gosh, that's so much responsibility. I really think the best thing, pursue what you love, but be willing to let it take you in unexpected directions and stay curious about all of that.
So good.
I think that's it.
So good. I didn't even ask you though. As I said that, my memory, you've gone from Highland Park Theater Department to Steppenwolf to Broadway. Do you have a theater memory or a theater moment that you would share?
The Tempest stands out to me. And I think this is what I mean about success, that I know I'm supposed to name, like the Broadway shows that I've done, which have been incredible. Doing Harry Potter was so cool because I got to like fly around and shoot fire and I was a bad guy. And like, that was really cool. But the moments that really stand out to me, I really think about like, it's personal for me of what were these things for myself. The Tempest is one of them because I think we hadn't done a lot of Shakespeare as young people and it feels kind of inaccessible. And we were given great permission to find access in our own way to it and to build things really like us. We were sprites, to like build this magic and language together. Felt so beautiful and intimate. And then I had done, honestly, I went and I did a Broadway. I did my first Broadway show, and everyone's expectation of me was like, "All right, you'll keep doing Broadway." And instead, I came back to Chicago, and the first thing I did was a children's theater show called the Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane, which is a beautiful book by Kate DiCamillo, I think is the author's name. And it was an ensemble thing with a small group of gorgeous actors. And we were performing for kids who were like captivated in this beautiful story. And to me, like, oh, it makes me cry. To be able to share that experience with young people and to know how special a story is that you're sharing, that's why art matters to me. Ego stuff is amazing. Opportunity and success is amazing. But knowing in my deepest heart what matters to me and getting to experience that day after day is like the greatest human gift that I could have.
Can't think of a better way to end the show. Why didn't they tell us that the experience is even better? The journey is even better than the finish line. The feelings along the way are what you yearn for rather than the achievement.
Yeah.
I can't put this in an eloquent way, but I think one of my favorite things, and I want to just drive it home, find safe places to fail. That's so brilliant. And so like so important, because for so many of us, it's, we avoid failure. And I think if you listen to my show or you coach with me, I'm like, go fail fabulously. And what a beautiful middle ground of go fail, but find safe places to do it until you're ready to do it in that grand way. I think that was, you just lesson learned late in my life. And thank you for giving it to me today.
Thanks for having me, Leslie. This means so much to me.
Pure joy. Till next time, my friends, we will be talking again soon. Hey, Mom, just a quick moment for us. If you like what you're hearing over here on Why Didn't They Tell Us, looking for tips and tools to help your teen, be sure to check out the link in my show notes with my free guide, 6 Simple Steps to Help Your Teen Cultivate Confidence. It's my way to help you help her. You got this, Mama, and I got you. Go grab that guide. And if you're looking for additional free resources, be sure to check out confidencecoachforgirls.com. That's confidencecoachforgirls.com. Thanks. Love what you hear? Well, I'd love to hear from you. You can find me at confidencecoachforgirls.com. That's confidencecoachforgirls.com. Or email me at lesliethelifecoach@gmail.com. That's lesliethelifecoach@gmail.com. Hope to hear from you.